Hello brothers, this is a video on some of the lesser known mechanics of Space Marine 2. It is by no means an exhaustive list, but should be able to provide some insight into your gameplay. Let's get started. Ranged enemy receive 50% more damage from your range attacks. If you're a range-centric class, make sure to target these enemies. Extremis and Terminus enemies have their own damage modifiers and will need their own video. In addition to recovering their health fully and gaining increased poise, Enraged enemies do 50% more damage. Enemies who are blocking take only 10% damage. Make sure you use heavy attacks or explosives to break their guard. Enraged enemies can only be opened up by adrenaline surge attacks or explosives. Blocking enemies will also receive 50% Gunstrike damage. Similarly, dodging enemies will only receive 10% damage. This leads to some very frustrating moments, which deserves its own short form feedback. When enemies are receiving damage, they will flash in different colors that indicate their remaining health. Enemies attacking in the group have a token system, meaning depending on what enemies are attacking a player, others may not attack simultaneously. In this first clip, notice how only 2 warriors attack simultaneously, and only in between attacks did a Gon try to attack. You may also notice that sometimes an enemy stops attacking when another begins. I think the entire token system deserves to have its own feedback video as well. You will see in these clips that Chaos enemies use very little token when they're using range attacks, along with very short cooldown between each barrage. This means that practically, they never stop attacking unless one of them starts to engage in melee with you. Enemies who are parried will receive 50% more damage in general for 2.2 seconds. This is marked by a flashing yellow glow. As of patch 8.1, this feature is broken on block weapons. Interestingly enough, headshots will only deal an additional 33.3% damage. And no, Gunstrike doesn't count as a headshot. You can roll into minoris enemies to push them away, so don't be afraid of getting stuck on them. When minoris enemies are staggered by something like explosive, melee attacks, or even bolter rounds, they will push onto each others. This means that weapons like the bolter can be fired into a horde to halt their advance. This is also applied for heavy melee attacks such as seen here. When aiming down a weapon, zooming in will decrease your spread and recoil by a significant amount. For example, the auto bolt rifle here has 40% less spread and recoil when augmented zoom. You can tell by the reticle blooming as well as camera drift. Gunstrike damage is dependent on not just the sidearm type, but also the base damage of the weapon. For example, the damaged bolt pistol will have higher damage than the accuracy version. Melee attacks that can cause heavy knockdown will send sporemines flying, instead of exploding them. Sprint attacks, heavy attacks, and even power sword and power style will accomplish just this. Health damage dealt to the character is lower when the HP is low. This means that your effective HP is significantly increased the closer you are to death. There will be a graph that displays the relationship between health and damage reduction. If I'm interpreting this correctly, this should mean that the effect begins when you're at 25% health, and will reach 30% damage reduction when you're at 1% health. After that, it will scale up to 80% damage reduction until you hit 0 HP. Pause if you need to read this. can Gunstrike an incapped enemy by hitting it with a melee attack for rapid consecutive finishers, in case you need to kill multiple incapped enemies. You do not need to be up close to grab an execution. Simply press the execute button when you're nearby and your character will beeline towards an incapped enemy. Careful that you don't grab an execution that your ally needs. There are always more obscure mechanics in this game. If you know any, please do leave a comment. Leave a like if you learned something new, and check out the channel playlist for more Space Marine 2 content.